Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat. We got Joel, we got Sir Knight, we got Kojad, we got Michael, and we got Devil down there as well. What's up, guys? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Today, we're going to be diving into, obviously, the big news that we ended up hearing earlier today from Jonathan Gannon. Let's freaking go. Let's go. And then we're also going to be diving into what we saw today in uh, training camp. We're gonna be diving. Today was it was a slower training camp. I'm not gonna lie to you. They had the 7-on-7s. They had the 11-on-11s. We had a lot of guys not practicing today, so we're gonna go ahead and obviously diving into that as well. Who was not there? Who was there? Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody already know he made his appearance back, but it definitely felt like the Arizona Cardinals were easing their way back in because this was kind of one of those slow days. So you saw some things here and there. Kyler force feeding, not force feeding, but feeding Trey McBride. You saw a couple balls thrown over to Marvin Harrison Jr., but there wasn't really a highlight of the day. I think Jacoby Brissett actually played really, really good today. He let it he let it. He just kept slinging it. It was really, really good. He had a lot of good throws come his way. But let's go and dive right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We do got a super chat, first super chat of the day. Chill Peasy already starting it in. He says, "Knock off the rust and start locking in." Absolutely, absolutely. And this is what we're going to be talking about first here, right? We're going to get our first look at the 2025 Arizona Cardinals. Now, Jonathan Gannon did come out earlier this morning and already mentioned that, yes, it's been confirmed. We are going to be seeing starters in the preseason. Now, you most likely will not see these starters in game 3. It just never happens, right? But those two games, week 1 and week 2 of preseason, and for the Cardinals, we're going to be dealing with the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the Denver Broncos, which it has been confirmed the Cardinals will be doing a joint practice with the Denver Broncos. So that's going to be pretty fun to obviously keep your eye on as well. But most likely, you probably will see the starters in both of those games. Now, we don't know exactly what the extent of them being out there is going to be. Or are they going to get a series? Are they going to get 2 series? Or are they going to play a quarter? I doubt it. Like, I doubt the Cardinals are going to be playing a quarter. This is the way that I would love to see the Arizona Cardinals do it. Like, if they go out there and drive number 1 and they move the ball down the field and they actually execute this offense and do a very, very good job and potentially score some points, that would be enough to say, okay, well, let's see what game 2 can hold, right? Because you also got to be cognizant of the idea that you do not want these guys to get hurt, right? You want to make sure that you're smart with them, but obviously you do want to make sure that the football juices get flowing, because too many times have we seen under the Jonathan Gannon regime that none of these starters actually play in preseason. Patrick Mahomes plays mostly every preseason game he can. Well, not the third game, but he's usually out there in preseason. So I like the fact that Jonathan Gannon is now coming to turn around, and he's now starting to turn his head and say, okay, maybe this might be beneficial, right? Because last year, Cardinals offense started off slow. The year before, we knew Josh Dobbs was out there and the offense was okay, right? It wasn't bad, but like these games are really crucial. And we talked about a little about this a little last night as well. These games are really important to not come into week 1 fully prepared, right? Or as prepared as you potentially can be. Now, yes, is the Cardinals going to be 110% offense down in week 1 if they start their starters? Well, maybe not, but it does help, right? This is going to be the closest game time reps you're going to be getting to a regular season game in preseason compared to training camp, right? Compared to the 7-on-7s, your 11-on-11s when you're playing against the, offense and defense that are on the same team. This is going to be the best chance the Cardinals can come out here and actually execute the plays that hopefully they can in the regular season. Now, like I said before, I don't expect the Arizona Cardinals to be playing, a quarter. No, I don't expect that. And they shouldn't, right? They shouldn't be playing a quarter. At most, 2 drives. At most, 2 drives is what I want to see from the Arizona Cardinals. At most, right? Like I said, if they do a fantastic job in that very first drive, then you might pull them out and say, okay, well, let's start, you know, bringing in the backups, right? Because you got to be smart at the end of the day. But if they struggle, if they go 3 and out, or if they only have 4 or 5 total plays and it doesn't really work out, throw them back out there in the second series and go from there. All I need to see is 2 of them. All I need to see is 2 from the Arizona Cardinals. But it's cool. It's awesome. I'm happy that Jonathan Gannon is now, like we mentioned a little earlier, coming to terms that this is beneficial. It's very beneficial. I don't think Kyler Murray has started a preseason game in what seems like years. Definitely not under the Jonathan Gannon regime. So definitely a breath of fresh air. I'm excited. Absolutely excited. Devil in the chat with the super chat, a $10 donation. Yeesh. He says this, I'm happy with the news we got. I agree. 100%. I'm seeing a lot of positivity from Cardinal fans out there. There were some Cardinal fans out there that were kind of hesitant when I was saying yesterday that I want them to start. Like, I think it's very beneficial for them to start. There were some Cardinal fans that were hesitant, and rightfully so. I get it, right? You don't want to go into 2025 with a big, drastic injury. You don't. You absolutely don't. But you also got to take on the other side of the coin. The Arizona Cardinals offense needs every single rep they can to get better. They do. They absolutely do. And this preseason is going to go ahead and help them out to do that, right? So I agree with you, Devil. 110%. I agree with him. This is the right move. Jonathan Gannon going into his year 3. He knows it's very important to start off the season hot and start off the season with hopefully a 1-0, 2-0, maybe a 3-0 record, right? It's very important to get those wins in the beginning of the season because in that last part of the schedule, right, of the 2025 season, it's a juggernaut. It's an absolute juggernaut. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. Very, very smart of Jonathan Gannon. Kudos to him. And I'm excited to see what the 2025 Arizona Cardinals in preseason is going to look like because it just gives you a little bit, right? It's probably going to be a very vanilla offense, right? But still, nevertheless, I'm excited about it, right? So, Jonathan Gannon, absolutely kudos. Excited to see what's going to happen here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I think I heard that the Chiefs will be starting their starters as well, if I'm not mistaken. But this is a team that usually starts their starters, right, in preseason. So it's not going to be one of those things that's a shock to see potentially Patrick Mahomes or starting defensive linemen out there. It's not going to be a shock. It would be a really good test for our defensive line. It would be a really good test from our young secondary back there that has a lot of promise and a lot of potential. So overall, really good news. Excited to see what's going to hold on here for the Cardinals. But we also want to talk about training camp as well, right? Let's talk a little bit about training camp, shall we? Jonathan Gannon did also mention that there was 5 players that were not playing or participating in today's training camp today. Jonathan Gannon already let us know who those 5 players are. J.J. Russell, Michael Wilson, both of them are in concussion protocol. So unfortunately, definitely, I wanted to see a little bit more what Michael Wilson can do. But is this going to be one of those things that we might not see him in week 1 of preseason? Yeah, potentially. But we did see a lot of Zay Jones today. We saw a lot of Ty Palmer today as well. So maybe this is going to give an opportunity for one of those guys that we're not really talking about very much to kind of get a role if he needs time to kind of recover and kind of get back to 100%. I'm not saying in the regular season, but, to get more reps under their belt in the preseason is what I'm talking about more than anything. So J.J. Russell, Michael Wilson, both in concussion protocol, were not in practice today. Number 98, Justin Jones. Talked a little bit about him yesterday. Apparently he's got a knee injury, but it doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal. I think it's more of they're being smart with Justin Jones. Like, that tells me that I think that they're in on Justin Jones for going into the 53. Like, I talked about this a little yesterday, right? I think Justin Jones will make his way into the 53-man roster. I know a lot of people potentially talked about, potential surprise cuts, Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones. If there was one of those guys that I would rather keep, of course, I would keep Justin Jones. Now, I would rather keep both of them, but we got a lot of young talent that wants to get an opportunity and has done a good job here in training camp. So Justin Jones was not in practice today. He's got a knee injury, but from what I'm hearing, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Like, they're just trying to be smart with them. But then you also got 2 other players. Number 80, Simi Fehoko, wide receiver. He's got a quad injury. And then number 59, John Gaines II with a thumb injury. Talked about John Gaines as well. Maybe we might be seeing a surprise cut here from John Gaines. I don't know, right? Since he's been drafted in the 4th round for the Cardinals a couple years back, really hasn't done very much. I know when we brought him in, he was versatile to be a guard or maybe even a center, but Randall Furholt is that guy, right? And we just drafted a guy late this last year in Hayden Carner that can do both as well. So maybe we go that route. I don't know. But those are the guys that were not in practice today. J.J. Russell, Michael Wilson, Justin Jones, Simi Fehoko, as well as John Gaines II. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. was there. I was excited to see Marvin Harrison Jr. today, but like I said before, it was very obvious that they were not going full 100%. There was a potential play that Buda Baker could have potentially grabbed an interception. If he was going full go, that probably would have been an interception. But it was a really quick hook route from Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler to Marvin, toss it to him. Marvin caught it, but like I said, Buda Baker probably could have got that. You also could tell that a couple balls were thrown on Will Johnson, but they weren't going full 100%. Like, I feel like if they were, then he probably most likely would come down with another pick or so. Like, Will Johnson's looking good. Like, Will Johnson's looking really, really good this training camp. He's looking magnificent, man. He really is. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in the regular season and preseason as well. A lot of exciting things. A lot of exciting things. So let's talk about who stood out today, right? Now, when you have a practice that you're not really going full frontal and full force, right? You're it, it was obvious that they weren't, right? Now, of course, without the obvious guys that we usually talk about every single day, Trey McBride, Will Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr., there was a guy that actually stood out very, very much, and it's probably because of the injuries with Michael Wilson, right? Michael Wilson not practicing today opened up a little bit more for potential opportunity. Now, we mentioned this before a couple streams back that the guy that was taking that helm is most likely Zay Jones. Zay Jones probably going to be your number 3 wide receiver when you have that 3 wide receiver set when Michael Wilson's healthy. Wilson, and Jones. When the 4 comes out, obviously there'll probably be a split share between Jones and Dortch. But we've been seeing a lot of Tyjon Palmer in this practice. A lot of Tyjon Palmer. I think he's actually done pretty solid in this in this training camp. Believe it or not, I was a big, big fan of Xavier Weaver, even when we got him as a UDFA. But I'm gonna be real. I think that Tyjon Palmer has shined a little bit more than Xavier Weaver has within these last couple practices. Now, like I said, we heard Jonathan Gannon say multiple times, don't worry about who's running with the 2s, don't worry about who's running with the 3s, right? It's all just to kind of to give everybody a different look, different players to go against, different techniques, right? It's just an attempt for that. But we are seeing a lot of Tyjon Palmer, and he's actually looking pretty solid. There was a really good throw from Jacoby Brissett. Now, I want to be clear. There was probably like 1 or 2 reps that Tyjon Palmer was running with the 1s. That's it, right? And even in the other training camps, he's usually rolling with the 2s or the 3s, but I'm seeing him a lot more with the 2s than I am Xavier Weaver. I think Xavier Weaver does roll with the 2s and the 3s, but we're seeing a little bit more with him in the 3s. So Tyjon Palmer has been pretty solid. There was a really good catch, and this was on Will Johnson today, where literally Jacoby Brissett drops back, and I kid you not, this was a moonshot, and it wasn't a far, but it was really high up and right down Tyjon Palmer's hand. Just like it was beautiful. It was like right in the breadbasket, like boom, right there. Now, of course, like I said, if Will Johnson was going full all in 100%, it probably won't be as easy as a catch as Tyjon Palmer made it look like, because it was a really good throw from Jacoby Brissett. But it's just, he's showing up, man. He's really showing up so far. Now, we also did see Walter Nolan, right? We talked about Walter Nolan not too long ago. Walter Nolan didn't have his sling on his calf. He didn't have it on his calf. So he did post something on his Instagram. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but I ended up posting it on my Instagram as well as on my X/Twitter, that he ended up captioning it, "Be right back," right? Be right back. So maybe Walter Nolan might be coming in the start of the regular season. I don't need to see him in preseason. I really don't. Like, if he's not 100%, don't force it, right? And I don't think the Cardinals are going to. But if we see him in week 1 of the regular season, and like I said, he probably won't be getting the bulk of the start or the snaps. The Cardinals defense is very, very rotational to potentially hope to keep everybody healthy. Like, that's why they do it. But Walter Nolan didn't have his sleeve on his calf today. So, step in the right direction? Yeah, maybe. RC3 says, about time we play those starters. Agree. Velo in the chat says, Akeem Davis-Gaither is taking snaps from Cody Simon. Well, honestly, Akeem Davis-Gaither is most likely going to be your starter. He's most likely going to be your starter in this Arizona Cardinal defense from the 1s. Now, Cody Simon, can he potentially be your middle linebacker of the future for maybe the end of the year, or heck, maybe even towards, 2026? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Cody Simon could potentially be that guy for you. But right now, I think it's very obvious that Akeem Davis-Gaither is going to be that guy. And then you got Mac Wilson Sr. Being the other guy. So That's what it seems like, but you're right. Akeem Davis Gaither, ADG, right, is taking those reps away from Cody Simon. But Cody Simon is a rookie, right? He still got a lot of things to kind of learn under his belts, a lot more reps to kind of get used to. But yeah, Akeem Davis Gaither right now is taking those reps. And I think that's why they brought him in to be that guy, right? That's why they brought him in. I hope we see Weaver use more this season. I agree. I did see Weaver do what are they called? Like punt returns and kick returns early in practice. I wouldn't think too much about it. Like I also saw Michael Wilson in probably the earlier parts of training camp catching balls for punt returns and kick returns. I wouldn't think too much about it. I don't think he's going to be any like I don't think he's going to be a punt returner or a kick returner. Maybe, I mean, maybe, but right now it's definitely seemed to be DJ Dallas and Greg Dortch's job to lose right now, right? Those punt returners and kick returners, it's most likely going to be DJ Dallas. But I did see Xavier Weaver catch a few balls with the machine, shooting them up in the air. Also, another thing to note, and I'm not sure if it was reported by anybody else, but I noticed that there was the defensive lineman on the field, and they were doing those 11-11 reps. And like I said, the defense wasn't going full frontal. They weren't going 110%, right? Specifically that defensive line. They weren't. But I did see Darius Robinson and their defensive line coach, Delate Baudaire, and I probably butchered his name, Coach Debo, right? Coach Debo. Really cool, great energy. Love what he has to offer. But I did see Darius Robinson and Coach Debo talk on the side, and I'm assuming there was like real time coaching happening. I don't. I think there probably was an opportunity for maybe Darius Robinson to kind of learn something here and there, or at least that's the way I took it. I wish I could read lips. I really do. But they were talking for a solid 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Well, there was other couple defensive linemen kind of hovering around and also listening in, whether that was Elijah Simmons or maybe even Dante Stills. Calais Campbell probably wasn't listening in, but he did also talk to Darius Robinson after their conversation. But when Darius Robinson and Coach Debo stopped talking, I don't know, man. It kind of felt like D-Rob didn't really take too well to the coaching. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, right? But there was obvious coaching, like real-time coaching happening during those drills that maybe he could have done something a little bit better. And then after that conversation happened, guess what? What made me really happy? There was a long conversation. I'm talking about 5 or 6 minutes with Darius Robinson and Calais Campbell talking amongst each other, right? Chopping it up, learning, right? Even Dante Stills got involved. They were kind of like practicing hand gestures, hand movements, things that they can be doing, right? I'm not sure if Darius Robinson didn't like I don't know, the coach. I don't know, right? Like I said, I wish I could read lips, but they were having a very, very, I'm not going to say like deep or heated conversation, but Coach Debo was doing a lot of the talking. And then when he was trying to say something, you did kind of see Darius Robinson kind of walk off, and he was like remaining his distance for a good majority, at least 5 or 10 minutes. Calais Campbell came in, helped more coaching. And that's one thing that you got to love, man. Calais Campbell brought in as a guy that's still playing at a Pro Bowl level, but like the age that he is, he shouldn't be doing this. But it's such a good mentor, man. It's such a good mentor to players that are doing it on the field right now. So, like I said, I don't want to put too much thought into it. But one thing I would say to take away from it is that already Calais Campbell is coming in here and being a mentor to these young defensive linemen, right? Whether it's your Darius Robinson, whether it's your Dante Stills, there's a thing or two you can learn from those guys, right? There's a thing or two you definitely can learn from those big time veterans like your Dalvin Tomlinson as well as Calais Campbell. Now, Calais Campbell might seem to be a little bit more of a teacher than Dalvin Tomlinson is, but nevertheless, it was really, really cool to see. It was really, really cool to see. Peter in the chat said Darius Robinson is the name of my League of Legends account. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. I mean, Darius Robinson still looks good in training camp. Like I said, there's always some sort of opportunity. If that was a moment where Coach Debo thought that, coaching could be assessed and could be involved, there's always an opportunity to learn something, right? There is always something. Randall V in the chat, can we include Drew Petzing in a trade package for Parsons? Yikes. Yikes. Well, right now, Parsons is still a member of the Dallas Cowboys. At least the last I looked here on my end, there hasn't really been any updates on that whole situation with Micah Parsons. I apologize, with Micah Parsons, but for the most part, I still do think that he is I'm leaning towards he's probably going to stay with the Cowboys, if I'm going to be real. I'm leaning towards he's probably going to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. But man, of course, I would love nothing more than to bring him in to an Arizona Cardinal uniform. Just the thought of Josh Sweat and Michael Parsons would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do I have faith in? Yeah, I do. I think Petzing has brought in a level of one of the best run attacks in the NFL. I think he's actually done a pretty darn good job as a coach. Do I feel like he needs to learn more? Yeah, of course. I think he needs to open up the playbook. I think he needs to be a little bit more creative when getting the balls or the ball over to one of your best players, and that's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. as your wide receiver. But of course, Kyler right now is still very confident and comfortable with Trey McBride, and that hasn't changed from 2024 to now going to 2025 in training camp. That still hasn't changed. His number one target, his safety blanket is Trey McBride. You can see and tell every single training camp that we're there. Every single training camp, there's no change. It's Trey McBride show. So if you play fantasy football, you might want to get yourself Trey McBride because he's going to get fed a lot. So yes, I do believe in him. I do believe in Petzing, but I do think that there is work to be done. Um, Julio in the chat says Petzing is not the problem. Can we stop? I mean, there's some people that believe it, right? And I'm going to respect people's opinions. I think I'm one of those guys, the very few that mentioned before, that I do think that it's everybody's fault, everybody on the offensive side of the ball, in terms of why we struggled the way that we did. I don't feel like it's all Petzing personally. So I'm probably one of the very few that have that take. So we'll see. Adrian in the chat, how do you feel about Barron starting on the opposite side of Sweat during the first team's defense? Well, it's a mix. It's a mix between who's actually on the other side of Sweat and who's not, right? I'm not sure if you guys saw the unofficial depth chart that came out, and it was put together by the media, right? The media department for the Arizona Cardinals. They actually ended up having, I believe, Zaven Collins on the opposite side of Josh Sweat in their first unofficial depth chart. For what it's worth, now obviously they're not the end all be all. Monty and JG and the rest of the coaching staff is the end all be all, but they ended up having Zaven Collins on the opposite side of Josh Sweat on the unofficial first depth chart going into preseason game number 1. So yeah, Baron Browning. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I want to see a little bit more Baron Browning to kind of get me more confident and more comfortable to really kind of come down to like, is he that guy or is he not that guy, right? Because I mentioned it before, man. Like right now, we're rolling with a dog in Josh Sweat. We're rolling with a very high draft pick in B. Joe Ojulari with potential, but unfortunately can't stay healthy. We're rolling with Zaven Collins as potentially your number 2 outside linebacker, middle linebacker, now turned outside linebacker. And you got Baron Browning, which was a guy was kind of fighting for reps in Denver, but found a spot here. So we don't really have dogs. Okay, I wouldn't say dogs. Let me run that back. We don't really have those big names that you can say are going to take over on the edge position, right? With the exception of Josh Sweat, right? With the exception of Josh Sweat. Now, we don't know what Jordan Birch is going to do. We don't know what Xavier Thomas is going to do going into his year 2 as well. So there's a lot of potential, right? There's a lot of potential. But I don't know. I mean, I would rather see BJ Ojulari on the other side of Josh Sweat, but can he stay healthy? That's the big question, right? That's the big question out there. So we'll see. Peter in the chat says, I love Kyler. I want him on the Cardinals for his whole career. Woo. All right. Well, big year for Kyler. Let's see what he does this year. Shadow, the problem is not Kyler Murray. I'm telling you, he missed like 2 seasons. All right. This is his 5th season technically. I don't think that's the thing. You know, Cardinal fans probably could do the math and probably come down with obviously injuries that he ended up having. I don't think that the Cardinals look at it that way. I don't think that the national media is going to come out and say this is his 5th year. Everybody's going to come out here and say this is his year 7, right? I mean, you might be technically right with the amount of games that he missed, but I don't think anybody in the national media is going to come out and say technically this is year. I mean, Cardinal fans will. Right, Cardinal fans will say that, but I don't think national media is going to come out and take that too lightly, especially if you're getting paid top 10 quarterback money. You got to have to eventually go over the hump, right? Get over the hump. This is a big year. I'm excited about Kyler Murray. I think he's looked pretty solid in training camp. There's been a couple plays here and there that the defense has really gotten the best of him, but for the most part, he's doing pretty solid, right? So let's see what week 1 of preseason can do. He probably will be playing maybe a series or maybe even 2 series with this offense, which I would love to see. But of course, we all want to see a first drive touchdown. That would be magnificent for the Arizona Cardinals. Will it happen? Let's wait and see. Of course, with a touchdown in preseason from Kyler, a lot of people are going to get very excited. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that shakes out. What's the status on BJ Ojolari? My guy John asks, what's the status on BJ Ojolari? Right now, BJ Ojolari is still on the PUP list. Unfortunately, when training camp ended up starting, that was the first thing that Jonathan Gannon ended up saying. There was 3 players being put on the PUP list, which essentially, I guess it's essentially IR, but it's called a PUP list that they ended up putting on. And it was BJ Ojolari, Bilal Nichols, as well as BJ Ojolari, Bilal Nichols. Who was that third guy that was? Why am I blanking right now? There was a third player that was also put on the PUP list from the start, like from the jump. Let's see here. I know I got it on my not that one. And I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna put it on this first before I say it. Oh yeah, so Bilal Nichols, BJ Ojolari, and Walter Nolan. Good God. Why did that take me so long? I have no clue. Sorry. Yeah, so 3 players put on the PUP list before the start of the season. BJ Ojolari, Walter Nolan, 16th overall pick this year, and then Bilal Nichols. So for what it's worth. We still don't know. I'm hoping that it's still the same injury and he's just trying to get 100% before he gets getting thrown out there. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm giving on the side of trying to be optimistic, right? That's what I'm trying to do here. So let's see. Hopefully BJ Ojolari can come back. Pedro, what's up, Pedro? Do you think Will Hernandez is coming back? Well, last we heard is that they ended up working him out yesterday, right? That's the last thing that we heard, that they ended up working out Will Hernandez yesterday. So far we haven't heard anything in terms of are they going to sign him or not. I would love to sign him if I'm going to be real. I would absolutely love to sign Will Hernandez because of the idea of bringing in great depth, right? Good depth. You never know, especially in the trenches. There's a lot of injuries that ended up happening. So I would love to see it. Right now, we still don't have any confirmation that he signed, though, unfortunately. You're good. No, you're good, man. No worries. Velo, Paris is going to go down as one of our best linemen ever. Love to see it. Love to see it. All right, keep it going here with the chat. Do you have faith in Pet? Oh, I already answered this one. Yeah, I'm one of the few that have faith in Petsing. I'm one of the few. Yeah, I'm one of the few that have faith in Petsing. Yep, I do. Do me a huge favor. We got over 80 people here. Over 80 people here right now. Appreciate you guys up and foremost. Smack the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Smack the like button here. Right now, we're sitting with 22 likes with over 80 people here watching on YouTube. Over 60 people watching here on the X/Twitter side. So appreciate you guys for being here. Subscribe if this is your first time here. Another shout out to my super chatters of the day. We got my guy Devil with a $10 donation. Appreciate you. I'm also excited with the news that we got with the starters happening to start in preseason this year. We also got my guy Chill Peasy with the $1.99. Knock off the rust and locking in. Love to see it. Absolutely appreciate the super chats. Luis, Zay Jones wide receiver over Dortch. That's what it seems like. It does. Yeah. That's what it seems like right now. I think there is a real strong push for Zay Jones to potentially get the nod over Greg Dortch right now. What we're seeing in training camp, that's what we're seeing right now. What we're seeing right now in training camp is probably the Zay Jones over Greg Dortch show, if I'm going to be real. Now they might split, which I'm cool with as well, because I like Greg Dortch. I would love to see him on the field. But yeah, it looks like Zay Jones is looking pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. When Michael Wilson initially went down, Zay Jones was getting a majority of those reps coming his way, and he looked good, man. He really did. He looked pretty darn solid. I was really excited about Xavier Weaver getting an opportunity, but let me be real. Tajon Palmer, with the past couple of days of training camp, has actually looked pretty solid. Like, pretty solid. Now, is he going to make the 53-man roster? Probably not. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe, right? But Simi Fehoko, he's hurt. Michael Wilson in concussion protocol. Xavier Weaver rolling with the 2s and 3s. So there's room. There's room for a wide receiver to kind of come out here and show his worth. And so far, Tajon Palmer has been pretty solid. Nate in the chat says, watch some Patrick Peterson highlights today. Almost cried. Woo, that's awesome. Yeah, Patrick Peterson was a beast, man. Is a beast. Is a beast. All right. Read a couple more comments here. Nate in the chat says, to be good this year, K1 has to ball all year. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Now, we've talked about this from the get, right? We talked about this from even leaving 2024. 2025 is going to be such a big year, not just for Kyler. It's a big year for Drew Petzing. It's a big year for this Cardinals organization. It's a big year for Jonathan Gannon. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say Jonathan Gannon is going to get fired. No, I'm not going to come out here and say that, right? But like, this is a big year for them because this is you got to go on the trajectory of, okay, we're getting better and better and better. We're slowly climbing to get to where we need to get to, right? And where do we need to get to? The Cardinals need to get to playoffs. Like, that's what we're looking for as a fan base. We want a playoff win, but next step is double-digit wins under Gannon and hopefully a playoff run. Like, that is what should be happening to this year. I don't believe in the 49ers. I don't. The 49ers are signing people in the likes of Chosen Anderson or Robbie Chosen, whatever his name is. They just signed him. They signed Andy Isabella 2 days ago, and they just released Andy Isabella today. The 49ers did. They don't have a good wide receiving core. They don't know when Brandon Ayuk is coming back, right? Can Christian McCaffrey stay healthy? Kittle's still great, but he's getting older, right? We don't know how that's all going to shake out. And then you got the Seahawks, which I still think they have a really good defense, but the offense, there's a lot of question marks. They lost a lot of talent with Lockett as well as DK. Now, Jackson Smith and Jigba, is he going to take that next step? Probably, right? Maybe. But Sam Darnold's their new quarterback. Well, let's see what he does. And then you got the Rams. I'm not sure if you guys heard, but Stafford has not practiced in training camp so far. So far, he hasn't practiced at all. So, any chance the Cardinals have to come in and really make some sort of staple point, it could be this year. Could be this year for sure. But yeah, just as my guy Drama in the chat says, I'm hopeful, but won't be surprised if it crashes and burns again. Yikes! I hope not. I hope not. Now it doesn't help that the Cardinals' schedule is really, really brutal at the end. The Cardinals' schedule at the end of the season is brutal. Some might say a gauntlet, but it's brutal. It really is. The Cardinals in the last 7 weeks? In the last 7 weeks for the Cardinals, or let's say 8 weeks. Let's say 8 weeks, right? November 16th, they got the 49ers, so you got a division game. Then you got the Jaguars on November 23rd, which, not a hard game, but you never know. It's the NFL. Then November 30th, you got the Bucs, potential playoff team there. Then you got the Rams on December 7th, Texans in December 14th. The Falcons, I don't really know exactly what the Falcons are, but that's in December 21st. And then you got the Bengals, and then you got the Rams. So there's going to be a lot of tough games at the end of the season. So it's very important for the Cardinals to start off really, really hot. It's important for the Cardinals to start off really, really hot this season in the beginning to stack up as many wins as we potentially can. So we'll see. Let's take a couple more comments. Appreciate you guys for being here. Got my guy Kevin in the chat. What's up, Kevin? I want Kyler to throw for 4,000 yards plus 30 touchdowns with 400 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. What has been the most we've seen Kyler Murray throw for? Let's see. What is the most Kyler Murray's thrown for? Let me see. Kyler Murray, the closest to 4,000 yards he has had in his career was probably 2020. I mean, that's 3,900. So he had 3,971, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. In 2024, very close. He had 3,851 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So he's kind of flirting around the high 3,000s. So to break 4,000 would be cool for Kyler. That would be really, really cool. So yeah, the most passing, right? The most passing he's ever had was in 2020, and that was 3,971 yards. Now, rushing, right? What's his best rushing? Let's take a look here. His best rushing year was in 2020 as well. I'm telling you, 2020 was a really good year for Kyler. In 2020, he had 819 yards on the ground. 572 was his last year. So in 2024, when he was fully healthy, he rushed for 572 yards. Crazy. I mean, let's see. What makes Kyler Murray dynamic is the ability to use his legs. He wants to use his legs a lot more. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here at the end of the day. I'm excited, man. I'm really, really excited. Cardinals are going to sweep the division this season. Woohoo! Love to hear it. Love to hear it. All right. For the people that are just joining in, if you guys did not know, ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona Cardinals made the announcement here with Jonathan Gannon already letting us know that there will be starters for the Cardinals happening this weekend, this Saturday. This Saturday is going to be the first preseason game for the Arizona Cardinals, and we will be seeing starters. That's Kyler. That's most likely James Conner, Marvin. Hopefully Michael Wilson can go. We don't know yet, but all the starters that you can think of, they will be out there. I'm assuming, I'm right now there's no plan in terms of how long, but we will be seeing them today. I'm sorry, what the heck? We will be seeing them this weekend, and it was confirmed today by Jonathan Gannon. Super cool, man. Super, super cool. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to see here what the Arizona Cardinals are going to do heading into year 3 of JG and Monty and Pet Sing and all that different stuff. Super, super excited about it. Kyler's supposed to play preseason. Yeah, Jonathan Gannon confirmed it. He's going to be playing preseason. Yep. Somebody even asked, is Kyler also playing? And I could have sworn he said yes. Yeah, he could have sworn he said yes. This is the chance, man. Since Jonathan Gannon has been the head coach, we have not seen starters. We have not seen starters in his tenure. And he does that for a reason, right? In order for people to stay healthy. But different approach this year. He's approaching things different this year. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because they need the help. They need the reps. Absolutely. I'm just glad we got past the Call of Duty phase. We're not seeing the jokes out there as much, but their jokes are still out there. And I'm assuming Kyler still plays video game. I mean, I don't know why this thing blew up so much. Well, I guess it blew up so much because people correlate it to obviously the crash and burns of the second season or second half, right? That's why people talk about Call of Duty so much because they correlate it. They're like, oh, that's exactly why. Right? Because Call of Duty, like, it blew up so much that it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, people play video games. There's a lot of players, NFL players that play video games. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But no, I'm excited, man. I'm excited here to see what the Arizona Cardinals are going to be doing here. All starters. Yep, absolutely. Walter going to play? Well, right now, Gio, great question. What we know right now of Walter Nolan, he's still on the PUP list. Right now, he's still on the PUP list. So I'm not even accounting Walter Nolan to play, to be real. I don't think he's going to be playing because he's still on the PUP list right now. If they're smart, they probably would just keep him on there until maybe the start of the regular season if he can go, right? Now, if he stays on the PUP list when the 53-man roster is constructed, he needs to miss 4 weeks of the regular season. That would be sad. That would suck. But if he's off the PUP list, and I'm talking about Walter Nolan, before the construction of the 53, then he can be activated by week 1. So right now, he's still on the PUP list, so my mind's not even thinking that he's going to be playing in the preseason, but he is considered a starter technically. But 3 people are in PUP right now. BJ Ojolari, Walter Nolan, as well as Bilal Nichols. So, for what it's worth. To answer a couple more questions, appreciate you guys for being here. We got over 80 people here on the YouTube side. Smack the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we can hit 50 likes here. Let's see if we can hit 50 likes. Appreciate you guys for being here. Let's read a couple more comments and we'll be closing up shop. Just want to kind of give you guys my thoughts of what we've seen today in training camp. Because it wasn't a fast training camp today. You know, when they go fast and these plays are explosive and it's awesome, right? Fast. It wasn't like that today. You can tell by the way the defense was playing. You can tell by the way the Arizona Cardinals offense was playing. They were just trying to get back into the groove of things. And then the last The last practice is going to be tomorrow to get ready for the regular season. So excited. We're a couple more comments and we're going to be closing up shop. Appreciate you guys for being here. We got Velo in the chest. K1 has the potential to win the Super Bowl. He just got to lock in. We've seen him be great. I believe he can do it. Love the confidence. Kendrick in the chat says, has anyone told you look like Guy? No. I don't know who that is, to be honest with you. I have no idea who that is, but I'm going to have to look it up, though. I'll look it up. Hopefully it's not a goofy-looking guy. Hopefully he's not a goofy looking guy, but oh god. Yo, yeah, definitely me. Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yep. I gotta get my mustache like that though. That's pretty dope. That's pretty love to see it. Love to see it. All right, let's see here. Nate Gonzalez, can't wait to see the new Sand jersey. Yep, that should be coming at the end of this month. If you guys did not know, yes, that should be coming at the end of this month. So we're going to be getting that within the next 2 or 3 weeks, or at least the reveal of what that's going to look like. So I'm really excited about that as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be closing up shop right here. If you guys are a fan of the NFC West Roundtable, if you don't know what that is, basically the start of that podcast is starting back up today on the NFC West Roundtable YouTube channel. Go and check it out. We usually have 300, 400, 500 live viewers during the regular season. I don't know what it's going to look like today because it's literally the first show since 2 months, but would love to see some Arizona Cardinal fans out there in the chat representing. Go and make sure you check it out. But we're going to be filling everybody in on what's going on in training camp. It gives me an opportunity to kind of ask questions on the Rams side, the 49ers side, as well as the Seahawks side. So it's very, very informative. Of course, you got your bickering back and forth because we're all division rivals at the end of the day. So make sure you check out the NFC West Roundtable. We will be going live today at 6 p.m. AZ time on that channel. Make sure you search up on the search bar NFC West Roundtable and go ahead and join the chat. It's going to be very, very fun. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, you guys are all absolutely amazing. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals. Later, guys. Peace.